Hello and welcome to Industry Insight Sessions from Change in Education. My name is Amos Madra and I'm a careers advisor here at Change in Education. And in this program, we get to speak to industry experts about their own career journey and get some tips and advice on how they can help you in your own career journey. Well, joining me today is Musa Ayoob, who's the founder and CEO of NQB Recruitment Solutions. Musa has 20 years of commercial experience within sales, business, and recruitment, international sales experience, leave alone experience of sales in personal protective equipment. He's worked in rice sales in the UAE. He's worked in real estate, leasing. The list goes on. So we're speaking to a real true expert here today. Musa, a very warm welcome to you. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, Amos, for that. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. We're very happy to be here and very happy to shed some light on my own career. And if I can encourage anyone, it's even better because I really believe in helping kids. And I think for me, that's one of the main things that I take forward, that I really want to help kids to try and realize they can be entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah, and you've got a very exciting story. I mean, you've clearly got lots of experience in sales, marketing and recruitment. But, a situation where your brother found himself redundant, you were in a job where you felt, do you know what, there's more to life than this. You took a daring risk and, it's led to this business. So, I suppose that's the entrepreneurial spirit in you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think at the stage that I was back in 2018, I'd just had enough of working for people. I found that they didn't really understand what they were doing as owners or managers in businesses. And they were so far removed from the people that were actually doing the sales or on the ground like myself. And I felt that I wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to have a company whereby the voice of those who are at the bottom is heard as much as those at the top. If you get what I mean? Yeah. And I think that for me is one of the drivers that pushed me. I mean, my brother was made redundant at the same time. We came together and we thought, yeah, let's set up a business and let's just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot to, take that daring step to set up a business. I think prior to the pandemic, lots of people just weren't comfortable doing that. And I suppose with the pandemic, especially people being on furlough, not to say it's an excuse, but people maybe felt emboldened to take that step because they felt they had nothing to lose. But before that, that's when you set up your business, and that took a lot of guts and, it's a very brave move on your part. Was that something that was easy to do, or did you have sleepless nights about what you were doing?
No, when COVID hit back in April, it was really worrying because we had probably about 10 deals that were literally in the cusp of going through. All of them were kibosh, and I sat there scratching my head thinking, what on earth is going to happen now? So there were lots of sleepless nights. But see, we have strong faith in God, and we thought to ourselves, look, we've gone down this journey and we've already spent more than 1.5 years already, on this road. There is no point giving up now. We will just reorganize ourselves and look at how we can adapt ourselves to the changing situation that we find ourselves in. So it was very worrying. It was lots of stress, you sat there thinking, are we really on the right road here? What are we doing? Lots of introversion and introspection. But in the end, we decided, look, why did we do this in the first place? And do those things still hold? Do you want to work for a company? I thought, absolutely not. I don't think I'd even be employable at the moment now. So we just worked around it. My brother went on to furlough when it came out, and we just worked around it. In fact, funnily enough, during the process, the whole situation of COVID and the lockdown, we actually made some deals. Some of the companies that we'd been trying to work with in the past actually came back to us and said, look, we are looking to recruit in the tech sector. Can you help us? And we made about 3 or 4 placements, which actually saved us. And just one thing led to another. We were able to build off that, and now we're actually in a good place. We feel for a very positive 2021. We've already started with 1 placement starting, and another starts on Monday. So we're definitely in a happy place, and we feel we definitely made the right choice.
Isn't that interesting? Some people found a way to make this whole thing work, and like yourselves, you've made it work. You're in a great place now, and a year ago things looked completely different, but you've come and you managed to come out of it, so which is really good. Can you tell our audience what you guys do? What is recruitment? How
Okay.
does it work?
Absolutely, Amos. Let me tell you, recruitment's very simple. You have people who've got jobs, so companies that are looking to employ staff, and you have candidates. And we're like that bit in the middle whereby we're matching candidates to companies and companies to candidates. Now, it's an art in itself because you can use technology to sort of search job boards, go on social media and find candidates. But in the end, you need to speak to those candidates, try and understand what their motivation is, what they've done in the past, and then relate it back to your clients and the opportunities that they have. So in a sense, you're like a middleman, but a middleman that I don't feel that could be replaced simply by technology, because it's your gut instinct, your understanding of candidates, their motivations, why they've left other roles, why are they looking to move on, what bits of technology do they actually understand, and how well that relates back to a client. So essentially, it's like a dating agency, but it's for jobs. And I've always been, I mean, when I did this back in the early 2000s, I really did enjoy recruitment. And it always stuck in my mind how labor intensive it really is, because back then you didn't really have the search technology. Now it's sort of reduced that side of it and a little bit of the admin side with good CRM systems. But essentially, it's building relationships with people, trying to understand what the client really wants and what the candidate really wants, and then matching it. That's essentially what recruitment is. And what we do is basically it's IT recruitment. So we're specific to the IT sector. And even within that, we're quite specific within cybersecurity, data technology, that sort of area rather than anything else. Because I find that fascinating. I don't know about yourself, Amos, but for me, technology really floats my boat. I get really passionate about it. And I really enjoy talking about what's going down the line and what could happen. And so it sort of resonates with clients. And with candidates. And I think that's what helps us do what we do so well.
Yeah, completely agree. I think, you're in the right place in terms of, recruiting in the right sector with technology. This is the new revolution, as to say. So in terms of this industry, the tech sector, what's going on? What's who are the big employers, and what are they looking for in terms of candidates?
So I think because we focus more on the SME market, I like to work with small companies that are growing, but there's lots of stuff going on. I mean, in the UK, you've got Apple opened up a headquarters in London a few years ago. That's still going strong. You've got the likes of Money Supermarket in Manchester. You've got various sorts of employers from big to small, and it seems that some of the areas which are highly sought after are cybersecurity analysts, data scientists, data analysts, business intelligence candidates. So there's a wide berth of things, but also on a sort of entry level within IT, there's sort of first line IT support, second line IT support, sort of entry level roles, which basically you can get on the first level and move into IT and then get qualifications while you're in there, which is opposed to going through university and spending 40 grand and then going into it. But I mean, either way works, whatever people prefer. But there's lots of different roles and lots of opportunities across the board.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really interesting. I think you hit a key point there in terms of on-the-job training. Would that be like an apprenticeship, or you said it's almost a degree level qualification, isn't it? The training that you get, is it up
Yeah.
to degree level qualification, and is it apprenticeships that they offer?
I think there is lots of organisations out there that are offering apprenticeships, and I think there's different levels, and the highest levels do equate to degrees,
Yeah.
essentially. But I think the idea is that you have not just the classroom based, and you're learning and you're doing your research and you're obviously gaining qualifications, but it's the practical experience that you don't really get unless you go out on a placement. within university. You know, you spend 3 years at university gaining lots of academic qualifications, but how much of it is practical and usable once you actually get into a job? I mean, unless you're a coder who's learning about coding. But other things, there's lots of other things that I think that perhaps you only get when you work into a place. You know, that ability to actually build rapport with people in the workplace, to understand client requirements. You're not going to get that sitting at university. So I think apprenticeships, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, I think it's a fantastic way of getting kids interested in tech and working in you know, and getting them employment, and at the same time getting them qualifications. And I do work with some providers that do that and do offer apprenticeships. And they've got their own client base, so I find the candidates who do the apprenticeship and they then push them out to their clients who are the employers. So yeah, I think it's a very worthwhile way in which to get into tech.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You know, that there are other routes rather than the traditional ways. So apprenticeships are definitely worth looking at, and also on the job training with other programs. And that's interesting coming from somebody who's you know, really studied hard. You know, PhD as well. I know you studied, you did some, and you gained some great skills in terms of research from that. Can you tell us a bit about your own educational journey? How did that go?
So I actually went to what was called UMIS, which is now the University of Manchester.
Oh yeah, sorry, I remember UMIS.
Absolutely. So anyone who's over 40 will probably know what I'm talking about. And essentially, I did a textile technology and management degree at UMIS, which is completely unrelated to what I do. And initially, I did go into textiles, but very quickly realised that textiles is just literally going to go downhill. So there was no opportunities really in textiles. So I went into recruitment, really enjoyed it, but got offered the opportunity to do a PhD. My old professor from UMIS contacted me about doing a research project on how to develop fabrics from chicken feathers. So I did that. I went on back into university for 3 or 4 years. And while I was writing up, I then went back into recruitment and other things. But essentially, my route has been a very academic route. And that has taught me a lot of things, such as how to research things, how to sort of understand technology, and then look at its application in the real world, look at, you know, costings and the sort of building blocks of maybe even running a business maybe started from there in a way, because when you're doing research, you've got to look at so many different aspects of the research. Is it financially viable? What's the marketing strategy that we'd employ? What's the sort of, how many different products can be made from this? Is there any requirement for these products? Will people actually pay for this? So there's so much different research that has to go into it, that I think that in a lot of ways set me up to want to be an entrepreneur as well. Although I didn't really go into it until much later, but I think the backdrop of it was there.
Yeah, I mean, you've clearly got that entrepreneurial spirit within you. Traveling to Dubai and selling, was it rice you were selling in Dubai?
Yeah, we absolutely. It's a very different environment, the UAE. The climate is great. The place itself is wonderful, and it's very safe, very secure. But business practices are very different to the UK. The way in which they do things. If someone says, "Oh, they'll come at 1 o'clock," that doesn't mean 1 o'clock. It's like 2 o'clock, and then, you know, there's a very manana attitude. So you have to and run with it. But yeah, we sold rice out there, fairly successful. But I think you get to a point where you miss home. My parents were getting older, and I wanted to come back and be here to help them. I could see they were struggling, and I felt that it was the right time to come back and be back in the UK and try and do something here. And I think maybe when I did come back, I think in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I do want to set up my own business. I just didn't know in what and how and the specifics of it. But I did, in the back of my mind, always think, you know what, I'm going to go back and set up something here.
Yeah, and those experiences that you went through, well, with Dubai, you know, when someone says to you 2 o'clock meeting or 1 o'clock meeting turning up at 2, and then also with the research at university, would you say that they made you the person that you are today, and they've made you the business person you are?
Sorry, go on.
Or would you have to acquire certain skills that would make you a good business person?
I think I think every job that I've done and every experience I've had has led up to where I am today. I wouldn't say just one or the other has been, the reason why I'm a business person or entrepreneurial spirit within me. I think they've all led to where I am today. However, certain things stick out. I think when you're abroad and you've got to rely on yourself, and you don't really know what's happening and the culture, and you've got to adapt. That's very much helped me to have that resilience, and that resilience in this last year has really helped. So I think that's one aspect that does stand apart from other things, giving me that ability to be able to adapt, be resilient, to draw in myself and then find help from places. I think that's definitely been something that's been very, very key. So the Dubai experience was in some ways negative, but predominantly positive. And it certainly helped me to develop in who I am. But also other experiences, I mean, working for Total Jobs for nearly 2 years, helping me to understand how to write job adverts properly. Because, these are things that perhaps recruitment agencies don't really teach. And it was working for a job board where I learned the key ways in which to do it, which I can then pass on to my clients and help to make sure we do find the right people by structuring things in the right way. So that was a key experience as well, because it gave me some of the tools to directly help me in what I'm doing today. And I think probably the other thing is that my family is a family of entrepreneurs. So my dad, his dad before him, they were always entrepreneurs. So maybe it's a little bit handed down. A lot of my uncles were entrepreneurs. So when they used to come and visit from abroad, they'd have the old briefcase and the old Filofax, and it'd be like, their level of talking was very different. They talk about economics, and these things always stuck with me. And I think that's had a big bearing on how I view things and how I want to evolve as well.
Yeah, I think having the right environment certainly makes a big difference. And, having your father, your uncles around, seeing them, that clearly had a huge influence. And also, you mentioned resilience, and then, the difficult days. During those difficult days, did you ever imagine you'd be where you are today?
I think we did, because we could see what was going on. And we could see that this is definitely the right market to be in. We could see that, you could sort of see those green shoots. Yeah, the negativity was there because COVID was very bad. Lots of people were dying. The offices were all shut, and there was lots of negativity. But in the back of my mind, I thought, we've started this path. I know this will be successful. I drew in with that resilience from having been in Dubai and being able to hunker down and think, think beyond where we are now and envisage where we're going and where we could be. And I think that really made a massive difference, Amos. So I was like, I was able to literally visualize. And I think David James used to do this before goalkeeping, visualize about saving. And it was the same thing for me. I was visualizing how I envisaged the business to be in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, past all the epidemic, the pandemic and everything. And I think that really helped because it took away some of that negativity, and strong faith in God also helped me to make sure that I didn't get overly negative and that I stayed level. And I thought, yes, it's bad, but really we're still eating, we're still here, we're still surviving. So how bad really is it? It could be much worse. You could be in a third world country struggling to even eat, let alone anything else. Yes, we're locked down and we're hampered from going out anywhere, but we're still alive. We're still here. So there's still an opportunity to develop. So yeah, I'd say personally that's what helped us, me personally, to get through that and still have a positivity for the future.
Yeah, you've got a very positive perspective in how you look at the future. And, I get to speak to a lot of business people, and it seems to be the same kind of thing, very positive, optimistic about the future. And you just hit a key note, visualization. I've not heard many people talk about visualization and why it's so important, but it seems very important. And I like what you've raised. Could you just tell me how do you go about visualizing? What do you do? How does the process work?
Well, I think for me, it's you'll sit down and contemplate about where you are now and where you want to be. So for me, it's less about monetary things and having a big car or a big house. That's not really who I am or what I'm interested in. What I'm interested to do is help people. And for me, I visualize having the capacity. So my business is running well. I've got people who are actually running underneath, and they're given total latitude to take the business where it goes. And with the revenue generated, I'm able to sort of run boot camps to help young kids to become entrepreneurs, maybe even invest in some of them. Take the time out, and I'll sit there and I'll contemplate what that really means, the ability to go into schools and give talks to the kids about being an entrepreneur, the ability to have Zoom conference calls with a whole group of people where I can impart some knowledge and maybe help them on their journey. And I think that's what it's about. So I'll sit there and I'll contemplate how I really want to do those things, and then that will give me sort of the positive energy to want to go out there to then succeed, so that I can do all the things that I want to. I think it just helps your mindset, and it helps you to sort of be in a positive state of mind, which is vital when you're in a business. Yeah, I get that you have to be realistic, and when times are hard, you've got to sort of sit there and plan and be realistic as well. But I think if you lose that positivity, you lose your passion. And as you can see, I'm a very passionate person. I really believe in what I'm doing. And I think without that, who am I? I'm nothing. I won't make any inroads or difference to anything if I'm not passionate about what I do. And I think that's one of the reasons people are going to buy into me. And I think that's what I want to come across. That's what I want kids to do. Find what you're passionate about and really go for it.
Yeah, and you're clearly very passionate, and again, your energy and enthusiasm comes across really well. And also, again, describing to us how you can have that vision. But one thing I've noticed that each time you're talking about the vision there's action that's corresponding to that vision. So you're taking steps to do things. You're very active. So is being active, action orientated, hardworking, does that all pay off as well?
Yes, I believe so. I think at the end of the day, you've got to have a plan. So you've got your overall plan. As a business owner, I sit there with my business partner, my brother, and we sit down and we work out, right, so to attain this level of revenue, how are we going to get there? And we then need to put an action plan together and then hold ourselves accountable to that. Because at the end of the day, if we don't do the work, there's nobody going to do it. We are the people driving this car, and without us putting the effort in to drive it forward, it's not going to drive itself. So you need action points and an action plan for all the different things you do, whether it's sales, whether it's looking after the administration, whether it's looking at the technology we use to make the business run smoothly and efficiently. So everybody has to do their part. And I think that's one of the things, is delegating the right parts to the right people. So identifying what each other's strengths are and making sure that you do the bits that you're strongest at, and not worrying about the things that you're not. Because at the end of the day, when you're in a partnership, you've got to say to yourself, I can't do everything. That you've got to look at the things that really you're interested in, you're good at doing, and that that you can nail. And then you then delegate the things that you're not good at, and that that your business partner is good at them. You delegate those things to them, and I think that way you get the best of both worlds. So you're both doing the things that you enjoy, and you're driving the business together in a united front. And at the end of the day, I think that's so important. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Hard work is fine, but it's got to be work smarter, not harder. Yeah. I don't want to be working till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Today, that has a really negative impact on your mental well-being and your mental health. So I think it's about working smarter and finding ways to get the edge, but not having to do it in a way which impacts the rest of your life.
Yeah, really important advice. Thank you for sharing that with us. Very important, being productive. What do you enjoy doing the most? What is it with your role that you look forward to the most?
I love speaking to candidates. I absolutely love it, because there's a story behind every candidate. And you might be on the phone half an hour, but they tell you about themselves. They tell you about their technology, what they've worked in, what they've done in the past. They tell you what type of employers that they don't like. They tell you about the experiences they've had with employees, and you build up a huge bank of knowledge about that. So for me, that's the most enjoyable bit, is actually speaking to candidates.
Yeah.
Because you gain so much insight into them, and it also sort of helps you in different circumstances and different situations. It also helps you to think, when I employ people, the things that I'm going to avoid to do, because I think to be honest, in fact, recently I've done a survey with the Allow List platform, which I work with, which is a cybersecurity platform, and they've had 400 people respond to the survey on why candidates leave employers, and the top reason, 60% have said bad employers and bad management. And I think that's very true, and that's the thing I like to hear, so that I can understand what makes a bad employer, to make sure I avoid that when we become employers. So for one of the reasons, maybe call it voyeuristic or whatever you like, but I like to have an insight so that I can avoid the same pitfalls as other companies, and make sure that I have a very happy ship that I'm steering, with people who are, able to do the job, and also that they feel empowered within the organization, and they feel important, and that they don't feel that I don't listen, because that's one, again, that'd be an absolute disaster.
No, that is a very interesting viewpoint. Again, it's putting people first, and you're very much people orientated, and it's people first. And I think what's really interesting is you've looked at the fact that it's not always looking at the good. Let's look at the bad. Somebody once said, if losers gave speeches, we would all quickly learn what not to do. Someone who's doing terribly, if you just follow them for a day and see what they did, and then you know exactly what not to do. And I think, in a very clever way, you're doing that. You're watching what bad employers do, and by seeing what they do, saying, oh, right, we're definitely not going down that road. Again, it's putting people first, which is really important, because obviously without people, and that nothing goes anywhere. What's a typical day like for you? What time do you wake up? What do you do?
So I wake up very early. I would normally wake up about 6. I say my prayers, being a devout Muslim, and then after that I sort of get ready, have breakfast, come to the office around 9, and basically I start by probably doing about an hour's worth of LinkedIn stuff. So spend about an hour and a bit going through LinkedIn, seeing sort of what things are out there, what companies have been saying, respond to articles. So I spend about an hour doing that. Then I spend about a couple of hours trying to sort out issues for clients, looking if there's any specific candidates they're looking for, making a shortlist by searching for them so that I can bring them later on. I then usually have lunch early, around between 12 and 1. And then in the afternoon, I tend to focus on candidates. So spend a time going through the shortlist, ringing up the candidates, spend probably about 3 hours talking to candidates. And then towards the end of the day, if there's any emails that I've not responded to, I usually sort of get on with those. I think that's probably, although no 2 days are the same, to be honest, in recruitment, especially as an owner and someone who's working within the business, no 2 days are the same. But that's probably as typical as it would get for me.
Yeah, again, it's that putting people first, keeps coming back again. You've spoken a couple of times about your faith. How important is it to what you do?
I think it's vital, because I think it gives me honesty, integrity, and it makes me want to strive to be the best I can and to help others. And I think one of the things that, unfortunately, recruitment gets a very bad name, because people just see us as money grabbers. All we want is a fee. But actually, what we're doing is a very basic service. We're trying to get people a new job, their dream job. And I think that is absolutely, for me, the main reason why I do it is not the money. It is to help people get a job. It's to help an employer who's struggling to fill a role to get the right person, or an employer that's struggling with retention rates, to help them find the right people so they don't end up with a huge revolving door and churn. So for me, that helping people, it comes from my faith, because my faith is all about being there to help and being a community, and within the community helping each other. And one of the ways is, obviously everybody needs to earn for a living. Nobody really wants to just receive handouts. People want to earn. They want to feel self-worth, and one of the ways you can do that is through recruitment. So it complements my faith very, very well. That aspect of wanting to be there to help, to be part of the community and help, I think that's a very, very key point.
Yeah. Again, it's all lined up for you nicely. It's again, your whole career has been a great success. What advice would you give to your younger self, or to someone, who's watching this, in that 16 to 18 age group, and looking at you and thinking, I'd love to do what you're doing, or your younger self, perhaps? What would you say?
I'd say choose a path. Whatever makes you passionate, go into that. Don't think about money. Don't think about job prospects or anything like that. Just find what really makes you tick. What are you passionate about? What you enjoy, and forge a career in that. I think it's so important that you enjoy what you do, because you're going to be doing it for hours on end. So don't do things that you don't enjoy. Find that niche that you really enjoy working within, the things that you enjoy doing, and find a career within that. Whether it's work experience with a few different types of roles to see what suits you, whether it's sort of reading up on them and looking online, but find out about the sort of research, the sort of work that you can do that's in and around your skill set, what you enjoy, and then basically make a choice. And also, don't be afraid to think, I've made the wrong choice here, let me try something else, because you're young. You're gonna make bad decisions sometimes, or you're gonna think, yeah, that's really for me, and then a year later realize, no, really it wasn't. Doesn't matter. Put it behind you. Think to yourself, okay, it was an experience. Doesn't matter. Brush it off. Get up. Dust yourself off, and find something else. It's not the end of the world if you make the wrong career choice early on, or even later on. But it's important that you do something that you enjoy. Don't sit in a job sitting there thinking, God, I hate this, I don't want to be here, I hate the people I work with, and I really hate what I'm doing. That's the worst thing you can do, because it can have a really bad effect on you, your mental health, your home life, your life with your partner. You can really, really make a very miserable person. So you do not want to do that. Find things that you enjoy, and focus on that, and really push that forward, and seek the advice of experts in that field, for career advice, or to find out what's the best route to get into that career. I think it's definitely worth doing as well.
That is incredible advice. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. What's your plans for the future?
So mine is to basically, myself and my brother, expand our operation, get our business so that we've got people employed by us that are essentially doing the day-to-day running of the business, and we sit there doing more strategy work, trying to develop the overall lead generation for the business, get the branding out there, get more brand awareness, to help so that people can earn a good living. But then to further extrapolate that is to basically go out and do what I was telling you earlier, more basically community-led work, going into schools, having CV workshops. One thing I found is that nowadays kids really don't know how to write a CV. When I read through some of the younger ones, when I'm doing a lot of this apprenticeship work with one of my contacts, the CVs are really terrible, and it's maybe because kids aren't being taught how to do it. So one of the things I would like to do is go in every week to different schools and help the kids write CVs. So spend an hour with each child, and basically from an early age, 16, 17, 18, help them to actually write a proper CV, which is going to get them through the door for an interview. Help them with interview techniques. So run some seminars on how to conduct yourself in an interview, whether if we ever get back to face-to-face, or whether it's on Zoom or Teams.
Yeah.
So my idea is to develop the more charitable aspects of what we can do, and how to go into the community and help that. I think my brother shares that vision as well. He's definitely very keen on developing that further. providing we can financially do it. I think it will be one of those things that I'm hoping within the next 2 to 3 years we can spend 50% of our time on that and 50% on the business.
Yeah, that's very noble of you. It's always great to give back to the community. How can people find out more about you? How can people get in touch?
Well, they're welcome to get in touch via our website, www.N for November, Q for Quebec, B for Bravo, recruit.tech. So if they get in touch via the website, or they can give us a call on 0161 291 9196. They can also get in touch via LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. I can give you some links that you can put at the end of the video. They're more than welcome for them to get in touch via LinkedIn and get some tips from myself if they want to come into recruitment. I'm more than happy to share any knowledge I have on that. So no problem. Yeah, I'm more than happy for people to get in touch if they feel I'll be a benefit.
Musa, I just want to say thank you very much indeed for sitting down and talking to us today, and reminding us that the most important thing is to do what you're passionate about. You're very passionate about what you do. You clearly enjoy what you do, and nothing's ever wasted. The experiences that you've had and everything that you've been through has made you the person that you are. Your faith has strengthened you. You care for the community. You want to give back. You do so much for other people, and you're always putting people first. And that's one big lesson that we should all take away from today. It's always putting people first. So I just want to say thank you very much for taking the time to share your wisdom with us today, and really appreciate your company today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, Amos. It was a real pleasure, and I welcome anyone there to sort of make some comments or let me know if they need any help. It'd be great.